My name is Jason Ledbetter. I'm a physical therapist and strength and conditioning specialist for the MedStar Network Rehabilitation System up in Perry Hall. Today I'd like to talk about the importance of thoracic mobility in rotational athletes, who actually needs thoracic mobility work, who doesn't, differences in posture, someone who has a flatter thoracic spine, someone who has a kyphotic thoracic spine. Why does this matter? How does it affect athletic motion? When we're treating overhead athletes, just throwers, golfers, swimmers, tennis players, anybody that has to basically move in an extended overhead motion, it's very important to consider the movement of the thoracic spine. The thoracic spine is critical towards obtaining good athletic motion, being in the right position without jeopardizing other joints. So if we take a joint-by-joint approach, we look at what areas of the body need mobility, what need relative stability. Thoracic spine is one area that needs a lot of mobility. Down below, the lumbar spine actually needs a lot of stability. Up above the thoracic spine, the lower cervical spine needs to be stable. If you go out to the arm, the glenohumeral joint needs to be mobile. If you disrupt that balance, you're going to disrupt the joints below or above. In this case, if you lose thoracic mobility, or an athlete does not have adequate thoracic mobility, you're going to wind up jeopardizing either the lower thoracic spine, creating hypermobility at the glenohumeral joint, or hypermobility or increased lumbar lordosis down below. So these are critical aspects to how athletes function in the kinetic chain, and why the thoracic spine is such a critical part of achieving normal, balanced athletic motion. In the clinic, we commonly see two athletic postures that affect rotational athletes through the thoracic spine. One would be the flatter thoracic spine. These are athletes that tend to be in a military posture. They could even have increased lumbar lordosis or very flat when you look at them through the side, versus those that are kyphotic, maybe forward head, a little bit more rounded shouldered, lat dominant athletes. Understanding the differences between these two types of athletes is critical when you're prescribing corrective exercises, because the flatter thoracic spine you wouldn't want to necessarily work on thoracic mobility with these athletes because they already are in an extended position, versus the kyphotic thoracic spine. Those athletes really need to work on their thoracic extension to be able to get into the athletic positions, whether it be the swing phase of golf, the takeaway phase, or getting into the layback position for a throw, basically the end position, the late cocking phase before they go into acceleration. These coupled motions of the thoracic spine are critical to athletic performance and preventing injury. If you can't get into these positions, you're going to try to get the motion from someplace. So the kyphotic athlete, if they cannot extend and rotate, their tendency is going to be to try to get that motion from the lumbar spine. These are athletes that will hyperextend their spine in order to get that thoracic extension. Okay? They will wind up impinging their shoulder, creating rotator cuff tears, or creating disc injuries as they get into those positions and then rotate through. Okay? The flatter thoracic spine, they are already in extension. Their scapulas tend to be adducted. Okay? They are already too extended, so when they go into their extended rotated position, whether it be to throw or during the swing phase of golf, they're going to create excessive motion at the glenohumeral joint or at the hip because they're already too far back. These are athletes who tend to create labral tears in their shoulder when they're throwing, or they'll create UCL tears because they are too extended, too laid back. They create too much external rotation, too much valgus at the elbow because they're already in extension and rotation as they go back. It's critical to understand the difference between these two athletes, because one you're going to be prescribing thoracic mobility exercises to, and one group you will not. Today I'd like to talk about the importance of thoracic mobility in rotational athletes, who actually needs thoracic mobility work, who doesn't, differences in posture, someone who has a flatter thoracic spine, someone who has a kyphotic thoracic spine. Why does this matter? How does it affect athletic motion? And I'm going to use myself as an example of a kyphotic athlete. And I'm going to bring in Justin Cooper here. Everybody knows Justin in our system as an example of the flatter thoracic spine athlete. Both Justin and I play golf. Maybe I'm a little bit better than he is, I don't know. But you'll see the differences between our body types and how our thoracic spine can affect our mobility and impact our golf swing. Okay, so if we look at Justin, and if we turn Justin to the side here, okay, so you can see him. Justin's body type, he's taller, leaner, but you can see right through the shoulder blades here, very flat. Okay, he stands very straight. Basically, you can. Whoops, sorry, Justin. You can make a straight line down through his body. Everything's pretty well defined. Okay, a quick test to determine if he has compensatory motion through his thoracic spine is to do active shoulder elevation and to see what happens as Justin elevates his shoulder. So as he raises his arms here, okay, you can see there's very little motion through his thoracic spine. He's not extending through his trunk. He's got full range of motion. There's no rib flare. Okay, there's no increased thoracic lordosis. Justin has full range of motion without compensatory motion. Okay, contrast that with my body type. Okay, I'm a little bit more forward shouldered. Okay, if I turn to the side, okay, you're going to see a little bit of a forward head position. Okay, you can probably see a little bit more of a thoracic kyphosis. Now I'm not in a fixed thoracic kyphosis, but you'll see that forward position. If I raise my arms above my head, okay, and you'll see the lat dominance that comes out on me. This is as far as I can go. Okay, if I need to get full shoulder elevation, I have to extend my lumbar spine and my ribs protrude out in the front. Okay, this is called a rib flare. Okay, I lack the anterior stiffness of my core. The external obliques are not firing to keep me stable through my trunk. I'm trying to get extension through my spine, and I do so at the expense of my lumbar spine. Okay, those are the two differences in athletic postures that you'll commonly see in the clinic. In contrast, Justin's here on the wall. As he raises his arms overhead, okay, no compensation through the lumbar spine. Okay, full shoulder elevation, no rib flare. Okay, this is what a flatter thoracic spine will look like. Here's another quick test you can do in the clinic for compensated thoracic motion with shoulder elevation. If your athlete is laying down with legs extended, have them raise their arms above their head. Look for the thoracic lordosis. I can go all the way back. Okay, if I bring my legs up into a dead bug position, engage my external obliques, abdominally brace, have the athlete raise their arms back again. Okay, there is the limitation at the shoulder elevation with a non-compensated thoracic spine. Foam roll thoracic mobilization. I simply support the head, trunk in a good position, roll back, and there's many different ways you can do this. I involve diaphragmatic breathing. I find a restriction point. I take a breath in through my nose, exhale through my lips fully, and then hold that position, take full 3 breaths, and roll back out. You can also roll back and forth. There's many different ways to foam roll. Here are some progressions in sideline for thoracic extension and rotation that you can do. We use foam rolls to support the head and neck and to lock out the lower lumbar spine. It's important to diaphragmatically breathe when you do these exercises, so that you're engaging the diaphragm and the external obliques as you're rotating. Here are some progressions you can do in quadruped for thoracic extension and rotation. It's important to find the athlete's neutral position, help them engage their abdominals lightly. You don't want to over-engage and create too much stiffness, and diaphragmatically breathe through the rotations. Here are two examples of exercises to stretch the lats. One involves a squat maneuver where you're diaphragmatically breathing at the end range to try to pull the external obliques in. And the other, you're standing and rotating into your shoulder as you're diaphragmatically breathing to release the lats. The following is an integrative movement prep exercise that involves the concepts of thoracic rotation extension that we've been talking about, as well as other joints. When you've identified the athletic kyphotic spine, the next step should be a comprehensive treatment strategy. This should include soft tissue mobilization, foam rolling techniques like we use today, but also engagement of the external obliques. So we're working on pulling that rib cage down into a proper position, not allowing rib flare. These would be dead bug variations and other types of anterior core work in addition to the soft tissue work that you've already been doing. Once that's been done and you're working on thoracic extension rotation that's uncompensated, at that point these athletes should work on stabilization or strengthening programs for their scapula, for their cuff. It should be done after that work has been done. For the flatter thoracic spine, these athletes do not need rotation extension work, and that should not be done unless you want to create hypermobility. These athletes should proceed straight to stabilization and strengthening work.
Hey everyone, it's Bryan Kaplan again with MedStar Health. We're here with another Bryan's Brain Break. This will be our fourth installment. As you remember, last week we talked a lot about mindfulness and sleep, and how sleep is really restorative and a really good way to recover and get your body back to normalcy again. We talked about doing a body scan for sleep. I hope you all did that. Please share some feedback with us if you did that. If you found anything that was helpful for you outside of the recommendations that I had, we are always willing to listen and looking for good support for everybody out there. So please share. So today we're going to talk about more mindfulness, and we're going to talk about now mindfulness with an activity. The last couple of activities we did were eating and sleeping, and now we're going to do let's get active. So we're going to talk about doing a mindful exercise. So mindful walking or mindful jogging is what I want you guys to do. I want you to find somewhere that you really like to walk or like to run, preferably somewhere in nature, and preferably somewhere where there's water and you can hear that water running. For me, I like to go to Oregon Ridge, which is out in Hunt Valley. They have really nice trails out there. I like to walk or run out there and just pay attention to nature. Obviously, when a lot of us are running, we're doing other things. We might be listening to music that we like. We might be running with a teammate or a friend or a family member. But what I'd like you to do for this activity is just go by yourself. And when you go by yourself and you walk or you run outside, I want you to pay attention to everything that you see, everything that you hear, everything that you feel. It could be the breeze on your skin, it could be a tree, it could be a house, it could be the ground that you're on. Just pay attention to those things. I feel like you find that when you're moving all day, you become autopilot mode and you start to lose track and lose that love for life and what's out there. So my challenge to you for this week with Bryan's Brain Break is to do a mindful walk or a mindful run. Please start that as soon as you possibly can and then report back to us how everything went. Encourage your friends and your family members to try to do the same thing and share with them as well. Again, these mindful moments are really where going to help us get through the day-to-day, minimize our stress, and keep our health up. Thank you again. We'll talk to you guys next week, everyone. Bye. Hey, everybody. I'm here with Bryan's Brain Break again. Kind of follow up on our talk about doing a mindful walk run. So I'm just finishing up a run in my community, and you can hear the loud noise of the other people going by and the cars going by, but until that takes a moment to settle down, I'll kind of stop in my happy place. So here's my little creek in my neighborhood. I like to stop here and listen to the music when there's not sounds of people mowing their lawn or cars going by. I encourage you all to find your happy place and have a good weekend. Hey everyone, it's Bryan again with Bryan's Brain Break. This is just an add-on to my talk about mindful running and walking and paying attention to different things. Just wanted to give you guys an idea of what I was seeing this afternoon in my neighborhood. We already saw the beautiful creek that I stop and listen to the sounds, listen to the birds chirping, just appreciating the beautiful blue sky and the clouds and how the clouds are moving. And just being thankful and grateful that I have the ability to come and run outside and enjoy this day. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Be mindful, be kind, be grateful.